In another timeline, one choice changed everything. Welcome back to the alternate scrolls. Today we explore what might have happened if Draco Malfoy killed Dumbledore. A bitter rain drums against the tall windows of Malfoy Manor as Draco Malfoy kneels on the cold marble floor. Across a long, polished table, flickering with candlelight, the pale, serpentine figure of Lord Voldemort looms. A massive chandelier casts angular shadows over the assembly of Death Eaters, seated in silence. Draco's heart thuds in his chest, each beat louder than the distant thunder outside. He is 16 and newly marked with the dark mark seared on his forearm, hidden beneath his sleeve. Tonight, he faces the Dark Lord's judgment. Voldemort's voice coils through the air, low and cold. "Your father failed me," he says, red eyes fixed on Draco. The prophecy was lost. The ministry battle was a debacle. Draco feels those eyes like daggers. He dares not look to his parents. Lucius sits rigid at the table's far end, humiliated. Narcissa stands in the corner, trembling, her face glistening with tears. The Dark Lord rises from his throne-like chair. "There must be punishment," he hisses. Every candle flame shudders as if in fear. Draco's pulse races. Punishment. His mind spins with horror stories he's heard of Voldemort's retribution. But instead of a curse, Voldemort bestows a task. "Draco, you will kill Albus Dumbledore." The words crash down like a tombstone lid. Draco's breath catches. For an instant, he's sure he misheard. He lifts his chin and meets the Dark Lord's gaze, trying to mask his terror. In that gaze he sees no mercy, only the cruel enjoyment of a predator playing with prey. "Do this," Voldemort whispers almost gently, "and restore your family's honor. Fail, and both you and your parents will pay with your lives." Lightning flashes beyond the window, illuminating Draco's ashen face. He swallows hard. His voice comes out in a whisper. "Yes, my lord." He bows his head because he cannot bear for Voldemort to see the dread in his eyes. At the edge of his vision, he sees his mother collapse into silent sobs of relief and terror combined. Draco knows she interprets this mission for what it truly is, almost a death sentence. Still, Draco steels himself. The Dark Lord has commanded it. There is no way out. The future of his family, of himself, now hangs on a knife's edge. In that moment, kneeling in the hushed, oppressive grandeur of the drawing room, Draco Malfoy feels a part of his childhood die. Autumn at Hogwarts finds Draco more withdrawn than ever. As the Hogwarts Express carried students into the Scottish Highlands, Draco sat alone in a compartment, fingering the new wand holster at his wrist and listening to the whispers that followed him. He wore a hardened mask of arrogance as usual, but inside he was anything but sure. By day he moved through classes with a pale, strained face. By night he skulked through empty corridors, working on a dark plan no other student could suspect. In the room of requirement, Draco discovers an old vanishing cabinet, cracked and dusty. By lantern light he runs his hands over its splintered frame. If he can mend it and connect it to its twin in Borgin and Berks, he can smuggle Death Eaters into Hogwarts. This is the key to fulfilling Voldemort's orders. Night after night, Draco returns to that secret room, wand in hand, muttering incantations to repair the cabinet's magic. Each attempt leaves him more exhausted, but he refuses to give up. His soft, privileged hands grow calloused from prying at warped wood and bent hinges. Sweat beads on his forehead as he struggles, knowing failure is not an option. As weeks pass with the cabinet still broken, Draco's desperation mounts. Under mounting pressure, he resorts to drastic measures. One brisk October afternoon, Katie Bell screams on the Hogwarts grounds as a cursed opal necklace in her hands nearly claims her life. Draco watches from the shadows of the castle entrance as Katie's friends carry her limp body inside. His stomach churns with guilt, That necklace was meant for Dumbledore. He had coerced Madame Rosmerta through a web of the Imperious Curse to pass it along. He never intended Katie to touch it. When she does, coming within an inch of death, Draco flees to an empty classroom and retches in a bin, hands shaking. He can still hear her agonized screams echoing in his ears. Winter descends. Dumbledore still lives, and Draco's time is running out. On a snowy December evening, Draco tries again. He slips a vial of deadly poison into a bottle of mead destined for Dumbledore's office, hoping to make the murder look like an accident. But fate thwarts him. The poisoned mead never reaches Dumbledore. Instead, it ends up in the hands of Ron Weasley. When Ron collapses in convulsions at Slughorn's Christmas gathering, Draco, lurking outside the party, hears the panicked cries. He peeks through a crack in the door just in time to see Harry Potter shove a bezoar down Ron's throat, saving his life. Draco reels back into the corridor, pressing himself against the cold stone wall, heart pounding in his throat. He nearly killed someone, but not the intended target. Terror and bitter frustration war within him. Nothing is going according to plan. Soon, even Draco's outward composure begins to crack. He avoids Crabbe and Goyle, no longer interested in childish taunts or Quidditch glory. At meals, he picks at his food under the enchanted ceiling of the Great Hall, isolating himself at the far end of the Slytherin table. Dark shadows nest under his gray eyes from countless sleepless nights. He imagines everyone must suspect something, especially Harry Potter, whose gaze Draco often feels burning into him from across the hall. Harry knows I'm up to something, Draco thinks in panic one night. He's right. In truth, Harry is suspicious. The Chosen One watches Malfoy's comings and goings on the Marauders map late at night, whispering to Ron and Hermione that Draco is behind dark plots. But even Harry cannot imagine the weight bearing down on Draco's shoulders, the impossible mission, and the deadly stakes. While Harry receives secret lessons from Dumbledore and scours the past for clues to defeating Voldemort, Draco fights a lonely war in his own heart. The castle becomes a cold stone prison of expectations and fear for Draco Malfoy. Sometimes, when the pressure becomes unbearable, Draco slips away to a forgotten bathroom on the 6th floor. There, under the flickering glow of torches, he finally lets his mask fall. Moaning Myrtle, the ghost of a girl long dead, hovers compassionately above the bathroom stall as Draco sobs into his hands. In Myrtle, he finds the only ear he can trust, one that will never reveal his secrets. Between choked breaths, Draco confesses he's trapped and scared. Myrtle can only murmur condolences, her voice echoing in the tiled chamber. It is in this lonely bathroom that Draco's desperation shows its rawest face, a scared boy who never wanted to be a killer. One such night in the bathroom, Draco's breakdown is interrupted. The door creaks open, and Harry Potter steps in, wand drawn. Harry has chased Draco here, fed up with mysteries, and sure Draco is up to evil. Draco reacts on instinct, drawing his own wand. His eyes are red from crying, his cheeks stained with tears, but pride and fear make him snarl. "Stay away, Potter!" A duel erupts in flashes of light and shattering porcelain. Desperate and cornered, Draco hurls a Cruciatus curse that Harry narrowly dodges. Harry retaliates with a curse Draco doesn't recognize. Sectum Sempra. Invisible blades slice across Draco's chest. He gasps and collapses, blood spreading scarlet through his shirt, dripping onto the flooded floor. For a split second, Draco truly believes he's going to die there, bleeding out amid broken mirrors and Myrtle's horrified screams. Severus Snape bursts into the bathroom just in time, black cloak billowing behind him. With a slash of his wand and a shouted incantation, he staunches the curse's effects, saving Draco's life. Snape's face is a mask of controlled fury as he orders Harry out, then hoists Draco to his feet. Draco's world swims with pain and shame. He clutches at Snape's arms, leaving smears of blood on the professor's sleeves. Through the haze, Draco can't tell if the wetness on his face is all tears or sweat or blood. Snape's dark eyes meet Draco's, and for a moment something like understanding passes between them. Without a word, Snape half carries him to the hospital wing. As Madame Pomfrey mends his wounds, Draco lies in a hospital bed staring at the ceiling, humiliation and relief intermingling. He owes Snape his life, a life he still isn't sure he wants, given the task ahead. But one thing is clearer than ever. Time is running out. Dumbledore must die, or Draco will. As winter turns to spring, Draco recommits himself to fixing the vanishing cabinet, pouring every ounce of his will into that final plan. It must succeed. It is his last chance to avoid the Dark Lord's wrath. Finally, a warm night in June arrives when Draco's careful scheming and terrible resolve come to a head. High atop the Astronomy Tower, the sky is bruised purple and black, pierced by an ominous stillness over the towers. Dumbledore returns to the castle that night, a frail silhouette on the tower ramparts as he apparates in from a mission with Harry. Dumbledore immobilizes Harry under the cloak met Ian non-verbal spell, hidden below, unable to act. Dumbledore, weakened by a gauntlet of trials in a distant cave, barely has time to whisper, "Harry, stay quiet," before Draco Malfoy steps out of the shadows. Draco's wand is drawn and pointed straight at the headmaster's heart. His hand trembles. Rain from the earlier storm drips from the tower's stone arches, and in its patter, Draco's voice wavers, cracking the silence. "Don't move, or I'll kill you." Albus Dumbledore, face pale and lined with exhaustion, does not raise his wand. He regards Draco not with fear, but with pity and concern. In the moonlight, Draco can see the great wizard's right hand is blackened and withered, as if cursed. The sight unsettles him. Dumbledore is already dying from something. Yet here Draco stands, charged with hastening that death. "Draco," Dumbledore says softly, as if greeting a wayward student to a meeting, "you are no killer." His words are gentle, almost kind, and they nearly undo Draco's composure. Draco's grip on his wand tightens. "I have to," he spits, voice breaking. "He'll kill me. Kill my family." Tears prick Draco's eyes despite himself. This is not how it was supposed to go. Dumbledore is defenseless, kindly even now. The old man's eyes flick toward the sky where the dark mark glows. "You are not alone," Dumbledore murmurs, swaying slightly on his feet. Indeed, thunderous footsteps echo up the staircase. Draco's backups are coming. Before Draco can respond, the heavy wooden door bursts open. Through it swarm several Death Eaters that Draco enabled to enter. The brutish Fenrir Greyback, his hungry eyes gleaming. Alecto and Amicus Carrow, with wands alight. And Bellatrix Lestrange herself, face wild with triumph. They encircle Draco and Dumbledore under the night sky. The headmaster is cornered, wandless and weak. Bellatrix's lips curl in a manic grin as she watches her nephew hold the elder wizard at bay. "Well done, Draco," she purrs, dark pride in her voice. "Finish it. The Dark Lord is waiting." Greyback snarls, eager for blood. The Carrows sneer and urge Draco on, taunting that Dumbledore is frail, helpless. Dumbledore's eyes flicker toward Draco's, piercing blue and unexpectedly calm in the face of death. "Draco," he says, almost in a whisper beneath the howling wind, "you are not a murderer. You have a choice, even now. Let me help you. You and your mother. I can hide you, protect all of you." At these words, Draco's resolve falters. He imagines for one beautiful second that he could lower his wand, accept Dumbledore's offer, and escape this nightmare. His wand arm shakes violently. His face glistens with sweat and tears. Bellatrix sees this hesitation, and her expression twists in rage. "Do it!" she shrieks, her voice cracking across the night. Greyback lunges forward a step, growling, and Draco realizes if he doesn't act, someone else will. And then Draco's own life is forfeit by Voldemort's decree. Somewhere below, Harry Potter watches in agony, unable to intervene, his heart thundering as he witnesses Draco Malfoy, of all people, holding Dumbledore's life in the balance. Time seems to slow. Draco's mind races through flashes of memory. His father's proud face turned gaunt with despair in Azkaban, his mother's tears under Snape's roof as she begged for her son's life, the awful night in the manor when Voldemort gave him this mission. All the pain, fear, and fury crystallize in Draco now. He realizes he is truly alone. None of the jeering Death Eaters at his back care if he lives or dies after this. If he doesn't kill Dumbledore, Voldemort will kill him. If he does, he damns himself. Draco meets Dumbledore's eyes. The old man seems to know exactly what's in Draco's heart. Tears spill down Draco's cheeks. In that moment, with a strangled cry, Draco Malfoy does the unforgivable. "Avada Kedavra!" Draco's voice cracks as he screams the curse. A jet of green light explodes from his wand and hits Albus Dumbledore squarely in the chest. For a fraction of a second, Dumbledore's eyes widen in shock and sorrow, and then the greatest wizard of the age is blasted off his feet. His body arcs over the battlements, illuminated against the starry sky and the baleful glow of the dark mark, before disappearing into the darkness below. It all happens in an instant, yet for Draco it unspools in slow motion. The air leaves his lungs. He stands there, arm outstretched, staring at the spot where Dumbledore stood a heartbeat ago. Silence. Bellatrix's face splits into a delighted, feral grin. A scream of triumph rips from her throat, echoed by the exultant shouts of the Carrows. Greyback throws back his head and howls at the sky. They have done it, the unthinkable. Albus Dumbledore is dead. Draco hears their cheers as if from underwater, muffled and distant. He can't pry his eyes from his own wand hand. Did it truly move? Is the deed truly done? In the cold night air, Draco's entire body begins to shake uncontrollably. He feels suddenly weightless, as though he too might float over the edge of the tower. A surge of nausea wells up. He has to clamp a hand over his mouth. Just then, Severus Snape bursts onto the tower top, having forced his way through the barrier below, moments too late. He takes in the scene at a glance, the jubilant Death Eaters, Draco trembling and pale, and no Dumbledore. Snape's heart seizes at the sight of the empty space where his friend and leader had stood. For an instant, anguish and rage twist his normally impassive face. But he has a role to play. "We must go now," Snape barks, striding forward. He grabs Draco by the collar, snapping the boy out of his stupor. Draco's wand slips from his fingers and clatters to the stone floor. His eyes are glassy, stunned. Snape practically hauls him toward the door as the other Death Eaters scramble down the stairs in chaotic retreat. Overhead, the dark mark pulses, casting an eerie green glow over Draco's haunted face as he is dragged from the scene of his crime. Down winding staircases, they flee. The castle has erupted into pandemonium below. Flashes of spellfire and cries of battle echo through the corridors as members of the Order of the Phoenix and teachers clash with intruders. Harry Potter, freed from paralysis by Dumbledore's death, races after them in fury. Draco barely registers the chaos. Snape keeps a firm grip on him, shoving aside anyone in their path. Harry catches up in the darkened entrance hall. "Draco!" Harry roars, voice cracked with grief and rage. Draco, still in shock, turns to see Harry's face contorted in hatred. Harry raises his wand at Draco, but Snape flashes between them, blocking Harry's curse with a swift shield. Harry's fury is explosive. "Coward!" he screams, hurling a curse at Snape, still believing Snape to be the traitor responsible. Sparks fly as spells collide. Draco cowers behind Snape, heart pounding with a new fear: Harry's vengeance. He catches a glimpse of Hagrid cradling Dumbledore's fallen body in the distance on the grounds beyond, and bile rises in Draco's throat. This nightmare is real. He truly did it. Snape deflects Harry's furious attacks, shouting at him to leave. In the confusion, Greyback and the Carrows bolt across the lawn toward the school gates. Bellatrix is ahead of them all, cackling madly as she casts jets of fire that set the Astronomy Tower's upper reaches ablaze. The night sky reflects flickers of orange flame as she revels in destruction. Snape forces Draco onward, through the oak front doors and out onto the grounds. They sprint, chasing the others through the grass. At the gate stands the assembled group of Death Eaters, Bellatrix screaming at the heavens in ecstatic victory. With a thunderous crack, she and the others disapparate into the night. Snape turns on his heel, seizing Draco's arm tightly. In a rush of wind and darkness, Draco feels the uncomfortable compression of apparition. His last sight of Hogwarts is the blazing Astronomy Tower and the tiny distant figures gathering around Albus Dumbledore's body below. Then Draco Malfoy is gone, swallowed by darkness. That night, Draco finds himself back in the drawing room of Malfoy Manor, the very place where this nightmare began. Narcissa envelops her son in trembling arms the moment he appears, sobbing into his hair with desperate relief. Lucius Malfoy stands behind her, shame and pride warring on his pale face. Their boy lived and accomplished the Dark Lord's command. But there is no true celebration. Lord Voldemort arrives to a chamber full of Death Eaters, eager to flaunt Dumbledore's death. Draco stands rigidly as Voldemort approaches him. The Dark Lord's skeletal fingers lift Draco's chin. "Look at me, Draco," he coos. Draco obeys, though his insides are churning. Voldemort's scarlet eyes search Draco's gray ones for the slightest hint of rebellion. After an agonizing pause, the Dark Lord smiles. A thin, cruel smile. "You have done well," Voldemort says softly. A spasm of relief floods Narcissa's face. Lucius exhales a breath he'd been holding. Draco nods mutely, fighting the urge to collapse as Voldemort releases his chin. The Dark Lord turns to address the room. Dumbledore is dead. Our victory is at hand. Cheers erupt, and in that cacophony, Draco quietly slips to his knees, lightheaded. No one sees Draco vomit into a gilded bucket later that night, except maybe Snape, who watches from a shadowed corner with troubled eyes. For Draco, the aftermath of murder is a private agony. Each time he blinks, he sees the flash of green in Dumbledore's body falling into darkness. He hears over and over the exultant laughter of Bellatrix echoing in his skull. When he closes his eyes, he wonders if Dumbledore's lifeless eyes are staring back from the void. Draco tries to tell himself it's over. He survived. His family is safe for now. But his soul feels fractured, a cold emptiness spreading in his chest that wasn't there before. The wizarding world outside reacts with shock and despair at the news. Hogwarts' beacon of hope has been snuffed out. Albus Dumbledore's funeral is held under a gray summer sky by the Black Lake, attended by hundreds of witches and wizards, none of them named Malfoy. From an upper window of Malfoy Manor, Draco watches distant black clouds and refuses to think about what might be happening at the school he will never see the same way again. In July, the final pieces fall, the Ministry of Magic is infiltrated and swiftly collapses from within. The minister is killed, replaced by a puppet of Voldemort. Hogwarts is handed over to the Death Eater's influence. To Draco's surprise, Severus Snape, forever a man of ambiguous loyalties, is appointed headmaster. Draco returns to Hogwarts in the fall of his 7th year to find the world turned upside down. A somber pall hangs over Hogwarts Castle that year. The corridors that once hummed with youthful chatter now echo with the bootsteps of patrolling Death Eaters and the fearful silence of students. The new regime installs the Carrows siblings as instructors in dark arts and Muggle studies, classes warped into sessions of cruelty and propaganda. From the headmaster's tower, Snape's silhouette can sometimes be seen against the lightning-scarred sky, isolated and brooding. Many suspect he had a hand in Dumbledore's demise, though few know the truth of Draco's role. Officially, Dumbledore's death is blamed on unknown assailants. But rumors swirl in whispers. Some say it was Death Eaters, others insist it was Draco Malfoy. Draco walks the halls with a target on his back, or so he feels. Some younger Slytherins look at him with twisted admiration or fear. Students from other houses glare with open hatred or avoid him entirely. He rarely meets their eyes. Even in classes, Draco sits apart, silent and haunted. The memory of what he's done clings to him like a second skin. At night he wakes from nightmares drenched in cold sweat, the phantom echo of his own voice yelling the killing curse ringing in his ears. Nights at Hogwarts are broken by screams from the dungeons as the Carrows punish defiant students. Draco hears them through the stone walls and feels sick. One afternoon, Alecto Carrow forces a group of older students to practice the Cruciatus Curse on a cowering first year as detention. She calls on Draco to demonstrate, expecting that the boy who slew Dumbledore will show how it's done. Wand in hand, Draco faces the terrified child and finds he cannot muster the will. His attempt is feeble, merely knocking the student back with a stinging jinx. Alecto's eyes narrow in disappointment and suspicion. She finishes the job herself, gleefully torturing the student while Draco turns away, stomach roiling. It is clear to him, whatever bloodthirsty vengeance Voldemort might demand, Draco has no desire to hurt anyone ever again. Through all of this, Snape keeps a distant watch. He never openly acknowledges Draco's suffering, but on occasion Draco catches the headmaster's black eyes, studying him with something like pity. In rare, brief exchanges, Snape's words are curt but meaningful. Keep your head down and your heart closed. Draco nods, understanding the subtext. Survive this, and maybe someday find redemption. Beyond the school grounds, the war intensifies. Harry Potter has vanished from public eye, labeled undesirable number 1 by the new ministry. But whispers filter through, even to Hogwarts's isolated corridors, rumors of Harry and his friends hunting something, striking covert blows against Voldemort's forces. Each time Harry's name is mentioned, Draco flinches with complicated feelings: anger, envy, and a faint spark of hope. If Harry is out there fighting, perhaps Voldemort can be defeated after all, and this nightmare ended. Yet Draco buries such treasonous hopes deep. He focuses only on enduring each day, protecting younger Slytherins where he can from the Carrows' worst abuses, and praying that he won't be asked to kill again. Spring arrives with grim tidings. Harry Potter is captured and delivered to Malfoy Manor, caught by Voldemort's snatchers. It is mere days before Easter when Draco is summoned from Hogwarts back home under tight guard. The Dark Lord has a special task for the Malfoys. In the Manor's grand foyer, Draco finds a group of prisoners shoved to their knees: Harry, hair long and face bruised; Ron Weasley, defiant despite a split lip; and Hermione Granger, bleeding and bound. Draco's heart lurches. These are his schoolmates, his former rivals, now captives of his family. "Well, Draco?" Lucius Malfoy prods urgently, his wand aimed at the disheveled trio. "Is it Potter? Identify him." Lucius's face is gaunt. Draco knows his father sees this as their chance to redeem themselves in Voldemort's eyes after recent failures. Narcissa stands behind Lucius, her eyes darting anxiously between Draco and the prisoners. All the Death Eaters in the hall wait on Draco's word. Harry's face is swollen and caked with dirt. Someone's stinging hex has distorted his features. He looks nothing like the boy Draco remembers, yet Draco can sense those unmistakable green eyes on him, silently pleading. Draco swallows, his throat dry. If he confirms Harry's identity, Harry will be handed to Voldemort and killed. If he lies, the Malfoys' lives hang in the balance. Draco takes a shaky breath, heart hammering. I'm not sure, he says at last, voice barely above a whisper. He averts his eyes. It might be Potter, but I can't be certain. Bellatrix Lestrange, wild with manic frustration, shrieks, "Incompetent boy, let me see." She shoves Draco aside and scrutinizes the prisoners herself. Harry's life hangs by a thread, but Bellatrix's attention is seized by something else. She spies a sword among the Snatcher's spoils, Godric Gryffindor's sword, which by rights should be in her vault. Her scream of outrage rings through the hall. In a flash, Bellatrix has Hermione dragged to the drawing room, flinging unforgivable curses as she goes. Hermione's screams soon pierce the manor's halls as Bellatrix tortures her for information. Draco stands frozen amid the chaos. He cannot force himself to intervene as Hermione's shrieks scrape against his conscience. Blood pounds in his ears. He catches Ron's stricken face and Harry's barely contained fury as they are held back by Lucius and a horde of Snatchers. Draco's wand remains clutched uselessly at his side. He feels every cry of pain from Hermione as if it were a physical blow. This, he realizes, is what Voldemort's victory looks like. Endless cruelty. And it sickens him. Before Bellatrix can do permanent damage, salvation comes from the least expected source. Dobby, the Malfoys' former house elf, pops into the mansion with a crack. The chandelier above the drawing room shatters and crashes to the floor, narrowly missing Bellatrix. In the sudden commotion, Harry and Ron break free of their captors. Ron lunges to catch the collapsing Hermione, while Harry wrests a wand from Draco's slack grip. "Expelliarmus!" Harry cries instinctively, and Draco's own wand flies from his hand into Harry's. Unknowingly, in that single moment, Harry had claimed more than Draco's wand. He had taken mastery over the Elder Wand itself. For a brief moment, Harry and Draco lock eyes, Harry's blazing with resolve, Draco's wide with shock. Neither speaks. Then Harry turns and rushes to his friends, armed now with Draco's wand. Dobby calls out, "Harry Potter, sir, time to go," as he snaps his long fingers. One by one, the prisoners grasp the elf's hand and vanish with a crack of apparition. Harry is the last to disappear, his gaze lingering on the chaos he's leaving. Draco staggers to his feet in time to see Harry vanish, taking Draco's hawthorn wand with him. They're gone. In their wake, the drawing room lies in ruins, and Bellatrix's fury is volcanic. She rounds on Draco and his parents with a shriek. They have failed to keep the prisoners, and the Dark Lord will hear of it. When the final battle erupts at Hogwarts, Draco is swept into the tide of war against his will. The Malfoy family is compelled to join Voldemort's forces, besieging the castle. As lightning splits the night sky and giants batter the gates, Draco slips away from his parents' side amid the chaos inside the castle. He doesn't want to fight. He wants only to survive. Yet a desperate idea pushes him on. If he can capture Harry Potter, perhaps he can win back Voldemort's favor and end this ordeal for his family. Flanked by Crabbe and Goyle, Draco prowls the shattered corridors he once knew as a student. Fires burn in sconces knocked askew, and the air is thick with dust and spells. At last, in the room of requirement, now transformed into a vast warehouse of hidden things, Draco corners his prey. Harry, Ron, and Hermione stand amidst towering piles of old furniture and artifacts, Harry clutching a strange diadem. They freeze at the sight of Draco emerging from behind a cabinet, wand pointed shakily at them. Crabbe and Goyle loom at his flanks. "Potter!" Draco calls out, trying to keep his voice from quavering. Anger, fear, and shame war within him at the sight of these three who have fought so hard against what he himself helped bring about. Harry's eyes narrow, gleaming in the dim, cluttered room. Draco musters a sneer. "You have something of mine," he says, nodding at the wand in Harry's hand, the wand Harry wrested from him at Malfoy Manor. But even as he speaks, Draco knows this confrontation is futile. Harry stands taller, stronger now than Draco has ever seen him, determination etched in every line of his face. Ron and Hermione tense, ready to defend their friend. Draco's accomplices, however, are less interested in negotiation. Crabbe's face twists with sadistic glee upon spotting Hermione. "We'll be rewarded for killing you, Potter," he snarls, raising his wand. Before Draco can bark at him to stop, Voldemort wanted Harry alive. Crabbe unleashes Fiendfire. A monstrous torrent of cursed flame bursts forth, roaring to life in the shape of a serpent of fire. The Room of Requirement turns into an inferno. Within seconds, towering columns of junk are igniting, collapsing. "Are you mad?" Draco screams at Crabbe as the uncontrollable fire coils around them. The heat is searing. Goyle trips backward, fleeing for the door. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sprint for their lives as the fiend-fire creature devours everything in its path, including the valuable diadem Harry had been seeking. Draco's panic flares. The exit is blocked by flames, and Crabbe's lost to his own deadly conjuration, laughing maniacally until the fire consumes even him. Desperate, Draco scrambles up an unstable mountain of charred desks and cabinets, trying to escape the fire's reach. He can't see Crabbe anymore. Goyle has vanished. The inferno's heat lashes at Draco's back, and he slips, tumbling onto a precarious ledge high above a sea of flames. He hangs on by his fingertips, his body dangling over doom. In that moment, Draco is certain he will die, burned alive in a hell of his own making. A strangely calm acceptance washes over him, and then a strong hand grabs his wrist. For a heartbeat, Harry could have turned away and escaped the fire alone. He didn't. Harry Potter is astride a broomstick, hovering in the fiery updraft, his arm extended toward Draco. For an instant, Draco cannot believe what is happening. The boy he once called enemy is saving him. Harry's face is grimy and determined as he heaves Draco up. Draco swings a leg over the broom behind Harry, clinging for dear life. Ron appears on another broom with an unconscious Goyle slung over it. In a rush of wind and embers, they rocket out of the collapsing Room of Requirement, the cursed fire exploding behind them in a fury of heat and light. They skid down onto a corridor floor. Draco rolls off Harry's broom and coughs, lungs full of smoke. Crabbe did not escape. His foolish cruelty cost him his life. Draco, disoriented, looks up at Harry, who is already turning to rejoin the fray with Ron and Hermione. Harry pauses for the briefest moment, meeting Draco's gaze through the haze. There is no triumph or disdain in Harry's expression now, only a strange understanding. Draco cannot find words, but a single tear cuts through the soot on his face as he watches Harry sprint away to finish what must be done. In that moment, Draco understands the difference between Voldemort and Harry Potter. One used lives as tools, the other chose even now not to abandon one. That realization will haunt and guide Draco for the rest of his days. As the battle rages on, Draco stumbles through the chaos until, by miraculous chance, he finds his parents in the throng. Narcissa throws her arms around Draco with a cry of relief. Lucius clasps his son's shoulder, his face lined with worry and remorse. Together the Malfoys drift to the periphery of the battle, none of them willing to keep fighting for a cause they no longer believe in. They watch as Voldemort calls a sudden halt to the duel and issues a chilling ultimatum for Harry Potter to face him in the Forbidden Forest. What follows next tests every allegiance. Draco does not witness Harry's brave sacrifice in the forest, but he sees the outcome. Voldemort returns to Hogwarts' grounds with Harry's apparently lifeless body levitating behind him. A deathly silence falls over survivors and attackers alike as the Dark Lord proclaims his final victory. Draco stands with his parents among the Death Eaters gathered before the castle. His heart plummets at the sight of Harry's limp form. Can it truly be over? Narcissa Malfoy, who had gone into the forest to confirm Harry's death at Voldemort's behest, quietly slips back to her family's side, gripping Draco's hand. Only Draco hears her whisper, "He's alive," so faint it might have been his imagination. With cruel delight, Voldemort calls out to the defenders of Hogwarts, ordering them to bow before him. In the tense pause, he notices the Malfoys standing a little apart, uncertain. Voldemort's eyes narrow. "Draco, my boy," he says with false warmth, beckoning with one pale hand. Narcissa's fingers tighten on Draco's arm, but she gives him a tiny nod. It's more dangerous to refuse. Trembling, Draco steps forward. Voldemort drapes an arm around Draco's shoulders in a ghastly parody of affection. "You see," Voldemort hisses to the crowd, "even Draco Malfoy has come to join me." Draco's skin crawls at the serpent's embrace, his eyes cast down. In that moment, with Harry presumed dead and darkness moments from total victory, Draco's mind screams silently for deliverance. Deliverance comes. Harry Potter slips from Hagrid's arms, revealing himself to be alive. Gasps and cries resound. Pandemonium breaks loose as spells fly once more. Voldemort's arm falls away from Draco as the Dark Lord hurls curses at the resurrected hope before him. In the confusion, Lucius grabs Draco by the sleeve. "Come, we must go," Lucius urges. As the final duel between Harry and Voldemort erupts in the courtyard, the Malfoys do not join the fray. They have long ceased to be true believers. All they care for is each other. Draco watches, awestruck, from the sidelines as Harry faces Voldemort down. Green and red jets of light collide in midair. Voldemort wields the Elder Wand, the wand Draco disarmed from Dumbledore, but it betrays him. The wand will not kill its true master, Harry Potter. With a final resounding spell, Voldemort's killing curse rebounds upon him. The Dark Lord is ripped from life, his body collapsing to the ground with a shockingly ordinary finality. Silence falls, broken only by the thud of the Elder Wand in the dust. Voldemort is gone. Draco's knees nearly buckle. It's over. It's truly over. He feels Narcissa's arm wrap around him and realizes she is crying softly, with relief, with grief, with everything they've lost and could yet save. All around, survivors embrace, cheers mixing with sobs of sorrow for the fallen. The Malfoys do not join the celebrations. They stand off to the side, a family intact in body, if not in reputation. In the dawning light of victory, Draco catches Harry's eye across the courtyard. Harry gives the smallest nod, an acknowledgement that needs no words. Draco cannot hold his gaze long and looks away, emotion swelling in his throat. In the days that follow, the Malfoys are spared the vengeance others might have wished on them. Narcissa's last-minute deceit to save Harry and Draco's own reluctance to harm weigh in their favor. Harry himself speaks on their behalf when the Wizengamot convenes. Thus, Draco Malfoy, the boy who killed Dumbledore, avoids a cell in Azkaban. But no punishment anyone could devise would match the self-reproach he carries. He returns to Hogwarts the next year to complete his education in a world slowly healing from war. In quiet humility, Draco attempts to rebuild his life, forever marked by the choices he made in fear and the unexpected mercies granted to him by his former enemies. Where once Draco craved glory, he now shuns the spotlight. In the years that follow, he leads a quiet life, determined to raise his family in a kinder world than the one he grew up in. Many in the wizarding community regard him warily, but those who were there at the end know that Draco's final choice wasn't heroic. It was human. When the moment came, he stopped helping the darkness. Thus, the war ended not as Voldemort envisioned. The cost was staggering: families shattered, heroes lost, scars both visible and unseen. But because Draco Malfoy killed Albus Dumbledore, the course of the war shifted. Darkness reigned for a time at Hogwarts, yet the very act that plunged Draco into darkness also sowed the seeds of Voldemort's downfall. For it was Draco's wand, one from Dumbledore and then one from Draco by Harry, that ensured the Dark Lord could not prevail. In a final irony, Draco's decision to raise his wand against Dumbledore set in motion events that led to the Dark Lord's defeat. In another timeline, perhaps Dumbledore's gentle approach might have saved Draco's soul outright. But in this one, Draco Malfoy's soul was tempered by fire. He emerged alive on the other side of the war, not a hero, but forever changed. He would never forget the night he took a great wizard's life, nor the day Harry Potter saved his. And as the wizarding world slowly healed, Draco carried the weight of his past with him, a reminder of how close he came to losing everything, and how a single choice, his choice, changed the fate of countless lives. Thank you for watching The Alternate Scrolls. If you enjoyed this journey through fire and fate, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more alternate stories.